times in the past have been perilous, and we're not in that time period today. We're really, really blessed with the information that we can receive and what we can be given. And so I'm going to just share this little story. So I've been on this road trip. I left Georgia and had intended to fly here, but I just couldn't get the flight to work out. And I got kind of frustrated with it, and I was going back and forth with the elders and going, well, am I supposed to do this? You know, am I supposed to be doing these things? And they said, how many things have to align for you to recognize that, yes, you are to be doing these things? And I was like, well, I'm not getting the flight the way I really want to get the flights, and I'm just not understanding. So I'm thinking that's maybe a sign. And they gave this long recount, and at the end of it, about a page and a half of information. They said, have you considered a road trip? And I was like, no, I've never really thought about doing a road trip. And I said, it's got to be 15 hours to get to Sedona. And I looked it up, Googled it, and it was 26 hours. and literally I left a week ago, and I've been kind of on this journey, and it's really been phenomenal. And the most fun is the most recent. I just wrote a blog post about it, which will come out next Friday on the website. And I knew something was going to happen that was significant in Santa Fe because I was there so many nights. And I had misconstrued my nights, and I thought that I was going to be spending the night consecutively, but I missed one of the nights. I missed Monday night, and I realized I had no place to stay. And I was like, okay. So I contacted my Airbnb host here, and she let me know that she couldn't bring me in early because she had someone at her house. And so, okay, I'm not going to Sedona. And I asked the elders then, am I to go to Sedona? Am I to drive maybe, and stop midway? Or do I stay in Santa Fe? And they said, you stay in Santa Fe. So everything that I did, and this was at the beginning of my Santa Fe trip, and I was there a number of days, and they gave all these different ideas and suggestions of what I needed to do. And I ended up listening to everyone that I met. And I met Linda at the farmer's market, and I met Cheryl, and we actually went to lunch, and I met all these different people. And they were incredible in that they would tell me something, and I would follow up on what they would tell me. And then I would, if I got kind of like I wasn't sure, I would then ask the elders, because the elders always believe that you're meant to do, it's your life experience. But they're not meant to be a shortcut. They're meant to be you explore, you try it out, you discover. And then if you've gotten to that point where you have a question, then that's okay. Because if they don't think you've, and I'm assuming here, but I believe that I have not gotten answers when I haven't put enough effort into it. So I went through all these. It was like a clue and following that, and a clue and following that. And so I ended up having this meeting at a college that is for those who have retired. And they used to call it an elder hostel, and now they've got different names. But in Santa Fe, they have one that's really advanced, and they bring in these scholars. And the scholars teach all these different things. And it's Renison, I believe is the name, but it was the genesis for the elder hostel. You could do travel, but it was really the continuing education. And my dad used to do it. And so there was affinity. And the woman who told me about it, Linda, who I met at the farmer's market, she was originally from Texas, but now she lived in Santa Fe. And when I heard she was from Texas, everything is like a sign. And they say it like right when you walk up, and you're like, oh, okay. So anyway, so I went, and immediately the executive director assessed me and said, you don't have the academic, she did it in a very nice way. You don't have the academic background. We have these big academia people that come in. So we got to talking, and I said, no, I don't have those credentials, but I get insights, and I'm all about finding your purpose. And so we ended up having this great communication, and I was there for at least an hour. And then she said, what you need to do is you need to go to Taos. You need to go to Taos, and you need to go and see. There were several things. You need to go to this gallery. You need to go to see these certain people. And you might want to go see the gorge, and it's called the Rio Grande Gorge. Well, being from Texas originally, Rio Grande is the river that runs between Mexico and Texas. And I've seen it, so it resonated with me. And I thought, So I ended up taking this journey. I left there, and I was kind of mad at myself because I would have been there much earlier, and it would have been much easier and had more time had my mind not distracted me, because my mind was saying, you're going to have 6 hours of free time. You can create XYZ videos, and you need to go to get Wi-Fi, and you need to find locations that have Wi-Fi. You see where I'm going with this? So I spent all this downtime creating something that the mind was giving me a mental map that wasn't worth anything. And as soon as I got there, I knew that I needed to jump in my car and go to Taos. It was about an hour and a half away. So it was around 10. So I jumped in my car and I went to Taos. And as I was about 20 minutes, I guess, south of Taos, I saw this welcome sign for this Rio Grande Gorge. And it was a ranger station and a welcome station, and they would tell you how to get there. Now, I will tell you that they misled me just a little bit. They had this map, and the map was showing, she said, now there's just one little small area, and it's about 1.5 miles, and it's gravel. Are you okay with driving on a gravel road? And I'm like, I'm a Texan. Gravel's what we have in Texas. I understand that. I can do a gravel road. So I was sure I had it all down, and I followed the map, and took about 35 minutes to get to the point where I'm now going to go up this steep slope, and I'm not going up gravel, but I'm going over boulders, like really big rocks that are sticking out that I'm worried that it's going to bottom out my car. And the road is really narrow, and I'm going almost straight uphill. And she didn't say anything about going straight uphill, but she did talk about that at one point it's going to go to the left and you'll be going away from the gorge. So I start going up here, and I'm wondering where I am on this map, because I think I'm not, because this is not what I interpret as a gravel road. And so I go up, go up, go up. Now we've got the big winds. It was really windy that day. And when you actually step out of your car, you thought if you open your door that the door would blow off because it was so strong. And so I'm standing there, and I stopped a couple times to take pictures because I didn't know what I was going to see. And I had some pretty shots here, and I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and take those shots. And so I get up to a point where the road gets really narrow, and then the next path is almost like I'd say 90, but I'm maybe falsifying. It was very steep though, and the rocks were even bigger, and they were dug out in between the rocks. So there was just such a huge chasm that it was, again, not my interpretation of a gravel road. I thought, I need to go back. I maybe have taken the wrong path, and I'm going on a different trip. So I back into this very small area where there's a little pull out, and if you go too far, you go over the side. And the gorge is 850 feet down. So it's not a slight mishap if you go over the side, which has no railing, and it's very windy. So I'm backing up, and then I go back down. I get to the bottom, and I said, hey guys, I didn't know if I should go back or not, because that would be admitting failure. And I didn't want to act like I couldn't read a map, but I said, I must have misinterpreted, because you were talking about gravel, and what I was going over were like boulders. And did I go too far and I miss it? And I was going off and away from the gorge. And they said, you were going onto the 1.5 mile gravel road. And it just seemed really long, because you can't go you can go about 10 miles an hour is about as fast as you can go. The gentleman that was there, that was working with her, said, I'm getting ready to leave. I've got a truck. I'll lead you, and I'll take you there, and I will take you to a spot that no one else has, probably not very, he said maybe a few people have seen it, but not many because you have to walk a little path, you have to park your car, and people usually just drive right by. And I said, that's great, I'd love that. And by that time, I'd been talking to the elders and I recognized that there was something special going on. And I said, am I going to get an energy download? And I got yes. And so I really felt bad because I got that before I went back down. And as I'm driving up, the elder said, you're very close. It's just right there. You're very close. And I was like, my mind took hold and I was like, nope, nope. I'm going back to the ranger station because I'm not sure what I've done. And so anyway, he led me. We went and found a spot to park. There's lots of places to park. And we walked to the river and we walked to this special spot. And it was there that I asked for the energy to come in. But I didn't sit in contemplation, which I know I should have done, but I had someone with me and I was so grateful that he had brought me to this spot. I just didn't make the time. And so the energy that I was given was integrated that night as I slept. And so I'm skipping a bunch of stuff, but I'm back now in my hotel room. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I get exactly what had happened, how the energy is to be used, and that the energy has integrated. And I was so grateful. And I said, is there any other instruction? And I got no. And I said, well, I don't have to be in Sedona. Really, it was Tuesday. And I'd like to, if it's okay, I'm going to just go back to sleep. So I went back to sleep. And about 5 o'clock, I am in a deep, deep sleep. And I hear, go now, go now, go now. And then it just kept on repeating. And it was almost like a bomb threat. It was like someone telling you to evacuate the building, and it woke me up. And I woke up and I still hear this, go now, go now, go now. And I said, okay, am I supposed to leave? Do I need to leave the building? Do I need to pack up and go? And I got a very affirmative yes. So I was, okay, do I have time for coffee? And they did not answer. And I said, okay, that's the mind, getting the little quip in. And so I packed up the car in 10 minutes, was on the road. So I drove, and what I didn't know is the fellow that I had met that led me to the gorge had also decided to come to this event. But he was an hour and a half behind me. And so he called me as I was driving, and he had told me that there was possibly going to be snow en route. And I saw this little light duster of snow, and it was really pretty. It kind of danced on my windshield. And so I said, Ken, the snow that you mentioned, I see the little snow. It's so pretty. Oh, this is so neat. Within about 20 minutes, that neat turned into going it from 40 degrees down to 22. Going from blue skies to where I couldn't see anything. And we were going 80 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour. We were going fast. Now we're going 10 miles an hour. Police cars are all around with their lights on. There were some trucks that had jackknifed. And I said, Ken, this is really bad. He said, this is what they do when they're getting ready to shut down the interstate. The police are out there. They're trying to assess the situation. He said, I'm not sure I can make it because I'm so far behind you. I'm an hour and a half behind you. And I asked the elders, and they said he needs to turn back. So I told him that, and he turned back. But what it was, which I didn't realize, of course, when I woke up, it wasn't a bomb scare, because I didn't know when I got out of my hotel room if I should shout to everyone to get out of their rooms, because I didn't know what it was. But it was this. It was the weather. And if I had delayed, I wouldn't have been able to make it through the pass. And so the elders are my incredible resource. And I'm very comfortable. I live in Georgia now, and I'm very comfortable where I am. But it doesn't serve me to be the only one served by them. and they are the most loving. They come from the energy of love. They're the most loving